Hello everyone, Burb here. If you saw my post earlier today, you would know that this weekend has been incredibly busy for me, not only in trying to figure out TrackBlazer, because every run takes an hour and it took me like 20 runs to figure out this scenario, but also because real life has sort of hit me all at once and coalesced into a single weekend and I gotta figure all that stuff out. So, late surgery guide, I'm really trying to push it till tomorrow. I am trying hard to get it released tomorrow. So, thank you for your patience there. I am moving up another video that I was planning on after the pace chaser or the late surgery guide to now. So this is not just content for content's sake. Please don't think of it as that. This was truly a video I was going to make. These are 4 separate topics that I don't think are big enough for their own separate videos, but I'm going to do them all as one big video. So I hope you enjoy. I hope all this is helpful. A lot of this stuff is questions I think people were asking in my comments. So, hey, here it is. So first of all, the forgotten pace chasers. In the pace chaser video, I forgot a couple characters. So congratulations, you get a full guide on them, basically. So, Machikane Twinehäuser. This character, I prefer her late surger. Just to put it out there. Mile D means you need to go up to Mile B. We have kind of figured out that Mile C just burns through your clocks too fast. You can either ignore all the mile races, and that seems to be just fine. You just lose like 200 skill points, so who really cares? Or you get her to Mile B with 2 parents. Unruffled is the only problem really with her kit. Is surrounded is just an incredibly difficult condition to hit consistently. You need a character in front of you, beside you, and behind you within a little over 1 horse length. And in the situations where you're doing it in the pace chaser position, it just means that, hey, you have end closers around you and you're going to lose those races anyways. So unruffled, not a reliable stamina option. It's kind of a cope stamina option that may proc once every 3 races or so. I don't suggest it. Go-Go Moon, on the other hand, is one of my favorite recoveries because 3rd through 6th. So the odds are you have some Kittison Blacks in front of you. It works a lot better if you run a front runner because you're controlling the pack a little more. But hypothetically, at some point in the second half of the race, you will be in 3rd through 6th position. This is not a random point like Super Creeks. This is anywhere between 50% and the end of the mid-race, which is about 533 meters on this track. Homestretch haste, very good skill. Overwhelming pressure, I've gone through the problems with that. There is a dead zone at the start of the skill. In pace chasing, surprisingly enough, not exactly the worst thing in the world because you're NSMing, I guess. So if you're NSMing, you're winning. And if not, you're basically delaying overwhelming pressure anyway, so you get full value. So on pace chaser, not the worst thing in the world. The skill is not as good as like innate experience. But there's not that many late race speed options anyways. Tosin Jordan. I apologize to the Tosin Jordan mains. This was the second guide, the second CM in a row that I forgot this character even existed. I don't know why this character keeps getting deleted from my memory, but she was released, and there's a lot of Oshi players for this character. Her problems: 10% speed, 10% power, 10% guts. Very good growth. Very, very good for a guts build that is very difficult to do on this CM because of the stamina requirements. The guts build still requires you to hit your stamina requirements. You need at least a stamina card, like a Super Creek, to get to the point where you can even use your guts. Guts only gives you like 200 extra stamina at max at 1200. So basically, you just have to ignore the guts at this point. So it's just a 10% speed, 10% power card character. Race Planner is a good skill. It's a innate recovery, but I think even this... I think having on your left, which is her late surger skill, is probably going to be better because you probably can't run Nice Nature Wit if you are a free-to-play player and you don't have a Super Creek maxed out. So this character, good. I think better in late surger, just like Machikane Twinehäuser. So straight away acceleration, luxury skill, pop and polish. The odds are you are either passing somebody or about to get passed. Preferably you're passing somebody. In the situations where you're winning, you are passing people, therefore this ultimate should proc fairly early. If you're already past everybody, you're winning the race, so who cares at that point, right? And then if you get pressured when you're in first place, well, this procs anyways. So, would you look at that? Good ultimate. Mino Top Gun Wedding, I'm not going to go too far on this. She comes with an innate recovery, just like regular. Straightaway adept, corner adept. Why are you running her in the pace racer position is the first question, and why are you not running Mino Top Gun regular? Because the regular version has Nimble Navigator Gold, which is no stopping me, and has 20% stamina growth. And I understand this one has 10, 10, 10, and 3 good stats. It may be a little bit easier to build. Flowery Maneuver is very good if you are in the front of the pack because you get the speed, but the final corner is a little too late for the acceleration, and you're probably losing if you're in the back of the pack in the on the final corner. Maybe you're not if you're running a cinema build, which means you just run a bunch of late race speed skills, but otherwise, it's sort of the situation of why you're running this character. Run regular. Everyone should have regular because it's a free character. And run her in the end closer or the front runner position. End closer is probably the strongest. She does get a fast learner event. It's insane if it procs and you have 500 plus wit. It saves you 280 points in the shop. Takezo. You guys, I'm not going to talk about pace Takezo in the CM where you have the highest stamina requirement like we're ever going to have pretty much. Try to run her late. She comes with Nimble Navigator late. She comes with Slick Surge late. She comes with every late surger skill in the game. This is not the CM to force her into a different position. Even end closer, like end closer, you're having to get your mile aptitude up, or you're sacrificing skill points. Just run her late surger, guys. I'm running her late surger as part of my my Oshi anti-frustration plan. Please just don't force her into other roles this time. She will be sad. All right, number 2. Corrections on the Pace Chaser video that I saw in the comments. This isn't all of them, but these are the ones I thought were big enough to do, and also that I could find before this video. Pace Chaser corners, long corners cannot double proc. They do not have cooldown. You can look at Game Torah on any skill, and if you see cooldown, technically it can double proc if it procs early enough. These 3 that are in particular because of this map are Professor of Curvature, Corner Adept, and Playtime's Over and Slipstream, because these should proc pretty early because of their conditions being easy. Professor of Curvature, it could pick the first corner. If it picks the first corner, 30 seconds later, remember 30 seconds is stretch with the long modifier. That's a separate video, but even like a minute and a half later, it can proc on the last corner, okay? So long corners, Pace Chaser corners can only proc once. They're still incredible skills. I got Vanilla Bourbon's ultimate backwards. It's not a white recovery and a minor speed increase. It's a white speed skill with a very small stamina or very small recovery. So really only used for Oguri Cap Christmas triggers. Otherwise, it's just a white skill. Stamina Siphon is a back half of pack skill, so it's probably not good on your Pace Chasers because you would need 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th for it. So Stamina Siphon, not great on the Pace Chaser position. We'll talk about in the late surger and the end closer position, but otherwise still applies. All free cards are 50-50 recoveries, and I'm probably going to stop doing the 50-50 notes because I keep missing all of them. But yes, Tosin Jordan is a 50-50. Daiwa Scarlet Power is a 50-50. Pretty much every single free card is a 50-50 for whatever gold skill that they have because they're free to play. So if you're going and gambling 2 of these at once to get Bofa and Gourmand, it's a 25% chance you get both gold recoveries. So that's why it's really tough on these long CMs for the non-innate gold recovery characters. All right, part 3. I wanted to go over the stamina and why it is so high because I've seen a lot of discourse in that, hey, are we really need this much stamina? And this is the reason why. So here is the race simulator. First of all, 2 gold recoveries. I'm going to force these positions to start at 1,000 stamina, which is what I suggested on an end closer, normal mood, distance S. You should have a very high 99.2% spurt rate. Now the problem is there's a couple things. First of all, cooldown is not forced in the mid race. So really, if you do this, it's a little over a 50-50 chance because it could proc in the first straight still because it wasn't buffed, and you can still proc in the late race, right? So it's really a 50-50 skill, which really, that's tough. Now, if I do force it here, if I don't force it, sorry, there is the extra 5.6% chance that you get enough downhill with these stats. The downhill helps you a little bit. The other thing that is that if it does proc in the late race straight, it's too far really to do anything. So it just does nothing. So cooldown and straightaway Bofa are both a little bit tough, but still, what else are you getting except for the pace chaser skills? That's the real tough thing. The other thing to note is that, hey, if you're debuffed, what you can do is you basically turn this into a white skill. So if I do end closer has after school stroll, which would be, after school stroll. That is a 50-50, but we will force it here. So 1500. If you get debuffed by Stamina Eater, right, or the gold version, you basically die. That's really bad. 1100 stamina is a little bit better. So if you're going to do this, if you want to be super against, if you want to be protected against the debuffs, an extra 100 stamina is roughly where you need to be. Okay? The third thing to know that I have found is this weird skill called Glittering Star, which is actually Radiant Star. This skill has recovery, and it's about a 4.2% recovery. The problem with this skill is it can proc anywhere after the second half of the race. We'll talk about this skill a little bit more, but for now, let's just force it to be useful. Hypothetically, if you run this skill, and you run a standard white recovery, let's do Stamina Eater, because Stamina Siphon, that's the gold one, but Stamina Eater, and you proc this, you technically have enough spurt rate at 1100, but even at 1000. You do this, you're at 99.2. So this plus a white skill essentially is the same thing. The problem that we'll talk about is that it's just hard to proc it in the right moment. The same thing happens with other skills. 2 white skills isn't enough. The safest thing that you can do is get 2 gold skills and just try to get 1100 stamina. Like that would be the safest thing to do. This is why I suggested getting up to 1150. Last thing to note, I forgot about this, is 1200 stamina is at 1 still is just a wet paper bag. It's like you get hit by anything, like a rush debuff plus bad mood or any sort of debuff, and it's just tough. Like this still plus needs like a white skill, I think. So let's just do race planner, right, and just force it to proc. You can see my process I'm going through. This is sort of a pull back the curtain moment. Let's see here. So yep, 93% if you get a race planner is a gold skill. Never mind. Anyways, so that is stamina. That is why it's so high. Can I suggest 1200 plus 1? Maybe. I mean, try it on one of your Umas because then you can get more skilled. But honestly, if you get enough stamina, you're going to be ahead of everybody. So a lot of math to go through here, a little bit. So I know you've been waiting for this. The reason why we were talking about spurt rate is even though you get 100% survival rate, your spurt rate, if you see here, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit on this. If you fail your spurt velocity or your spurt, you have a wit roll that determines how many lengths you're going to decide to lose because you're going to choose a different top speed. So 61.33 seconds is the worst. That's if you don't spurt at all. 0.16 seconds is the best. And it basically goes down from the top to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And it says here it actually calculates the average of 7.09 seconds. So that is a lot. That is like 5 horse lengths, I think. I don't exactly know, but that is a metric ton. That is compared to like a speed skill that's like missing 2 or 3 gold skills at that point. So you really, really need to hit your spurt. The math behind that is it's 15% plus 0.04% times wit for choosing the second best line. So at 800 wit, you have a 47% chance of choosing. At 1200 wit, you have a 63% chance of losing. The problem is that even if you choose the best line, your Uma still doesn't know that there is a downhill. So it could find that the best line is for you to wait your spurt out and then go to max speed, but then you hit the downhill and you're not useful either. So it's tough because even if your Uma succeeds her wit check, she can still choose a line that looks the best, but is still worse than if she would have just spurred immediately and died at the end. Okay? So there's no real way to predict this unless I am missing something in the guide, but even at 1200 wit, 63% chance of choosing the best line, that could also not be really the best line because it doesn't know about the downhills or what RNG you're going to get on the downhills in the late race. The same thing's going to happen if you need the third best line or better. It gets your odds a little better, 47 to 72 and 63 to 86, but still, this could just not be the best line. The best line is for you to spurt immediately and then have the downhill carry your late race. I don't know the odds of whether or not it takes, like, is a bad line better than a good line, because the bad line is to spurt immediately and die at the end? Or is it going to choose to wait a little bit and then you just lose lengths because you're not accelerating and everyone else is accelerating? So just getting your spurt to 100%, you ignore all this RNG. Maybe it works 47% of the time. That's half your runs increased by just hitting the stamina requirement. And I feel like a lot of people are not going to be able to hit their stamina requirements. All right, Radiant Star. I talked about this being a recovery. It's technically a 4.2% recovery. For reference, a gold recovery is 5.5%. This is for 30 races. It starts at like 3% and gives you 0.1 per race or something. I haven't done the exact math. It's only a 1.2 second duration skill, so don't be too happy about the 0.03 meters per second. Is this a good skill? Kind of, not really. The Excel zone is only 350 meters in this one if you don't hit anything else. The second half of the race is 1,600 meters. This is a 3,200 meter track. It can proc anywhere in the second half of the race. So that means that the speed skill is good for 9.1% of the time. The problem is 1.2 second base. Most speed skills in the game are 3 second base, and they're also usually 0.35 for gold. So it's not a very good late race speed option. Okay? If it hits in the Excel zone, you've high rolled. Congratulations, you have a 0.3 target speed increase for 1.2 seconds. You just hit on your left. But the on your left can proc anywhere in the late race. So that's 10.5% that you high roll, and also another 9.3% that you get speed carryover and excel. This is, you can see here, this basically 5x's the usefulness of it. So you have this little golden zone of about 300 meters, where in that 19% of the time, it's very good, and it counts as an acceleration that's akin to a straightaway spurt, or a little bit less, or an on your left, you can call it. And then the rest of it, it's just really, really garbage speed skill. Like, it's about 2/3 of a speed skill, and it costs 380 points. You could be getting other speed skills. But if you don't have anything, it's not the worst thing in the world to grab. The interesting thing is that it has recovery on it. It is a 4.2% recovery. That recovery works 33% of the time. So maybe if you're running cooldown, this would be, I think, the best use for it. You can see, by the way, if you ever look at the track, you can see the spurt distance. So 1,621.33 means 533 meters over the total 1,600 meters is 33.3%. If you combine this with cooldown, you either need cooldown to hit in the zone, or you need Radiant Star to hit in the zone, and that probably increases your percentage to about 75% rather than 50%. It's a little bit less, probably about 70%. But that may be a use for it. If you have the points and you have nothing else to buy, certainly pick it up. It's not like a garbage, like a really bad skill. It's just not efficient. The other weird thing that Radiant Star does is because it has recovery. If you proc it in the late race, you can correct me if I'm wrong if this hasn't been implemented yet, but it should recalculate your spurt if you have chosen a bad line. So hypothetically, this gives you another roll on the wit check. But really, this is only important for, like, right here. Maybe you choose a bad line, and then you choose a good line after that. If it procs here, you've had some downhill, so maybe it figures itself out. But the thing is that, like, I mean, it'll recalculate your top speed here. But the same thing happens to, like, shake it out if you get late race speed skills. And I don't know, and I don't really know how to model whether or not, like, fixing your late race speed is going to win you the game more than not. Again, it's just really just get your stamina. If it takes 2 stamina cards or 3 stamina cards, I know 3 stamina cards sounds like a lot. Whatever you need to hit your stamina and hit your speed requirements, you're going to have to sacrifice wit for it for sure. It's probably the most important thing in the game is to hit your stamina. That's really it. And like I said, the conclusion, I said, this is an end closer front runner meta. NSM is your only bet, really. So we're all gambling here. That's the video. These are 4 separate topics that I wanted to make at some point. They're not big enough to do. So I'm working on the late surger guide. Right after I post this video, I'm working on the late surger guide. I have, 5 hours before I go to sleep. Hopefully I get it done and I record it, and it's scheduled for like tomorrow sometime. So appreciate the patience. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was useful to you. We went through a lot of stuff. I know it was kind of all over the place, but that's 4 separate topics. So do what you can. All right. Take care, everyone. Burb out.